No waters.
We are now recording.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this continued meeting on January 3rd, 2024 to order. The first item on the agenda tonight is an RFP from for our CD investment. Finance Committee met earlier today, and I turn the floor over to Council President Nash.
Yes, sir. We just met moments ago, and we received rates from our two local lending institutions, and the three of us have recommended to council to proceed on with the 12-month CD at 4.25% and the total amount of $2.15 million, roughly, with Citizens Bank and Trust.
Chairman Nash, is that a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Nash has moved and
Just so
Mr.
everybody
Allman
knows,
second. And any discussion?
That's no penalty. You can penalty.
One withdrawal without penalty.
Mr. Gorman.
Principal
Is there a
penalty,
certain amount you can draw, or what, just,
without principal penalty.
how does that work? Is there a certain amount you can draw, or you just go,
Let's say we have an emergency, we have another ice storm,
okay,
something. We want to be able to get
okay.
access to some money. Now, Citizens said there would not be a principal penalty. Pretty atypical to take money out of a CD. That's usually kind of
This is if it's a
untouchable.
calamity.
But this is only in the event of ice storm and man, we got to buy some poles or roof has collapsed or something.
For the audience, we would probably use a line of credit in that situation anyway.
We have $400,000 line of credit, and yes, I would tap that logically first, but we just leave it open, and we've never had to touch a CD or any of the principal in the CD.
Ms. Williams, Mr. Gorman was in the gallery, so he heard this. They had a very good discussion about doing the 6 month or doing the 12. And I think there's some amateur economists in here, including me, and it looks like the Fed is already announced 3 cuts. So we figured for the 0.25%, we'd be better off. We think we'll actually make more interest for the town doing it 12 months at a lower rate than doing it at 6. Am I on the right track?
Correct.
Do you have any?
And you can draw the interest at any time.
Right.
Without penalty.
Right, without penalty. So
And
that's
we
kind of
go
what we
with
want.
benchmark or
Citizens.
Citizens
citizens?
is the higher interest rate.
Any more discussion, council? Hearing none, I ask for a voice vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries 5-0. Sir? No, you're not spending a dime. You're making a dime, but you don't need a roll call vote. Now, if you're requesting one, I'll be glad to accommodate you. Okay. All right. Item number 2 is the bus budget. Manager Van Orvik, will you report?
I will do my best. I allowed Alex to leave. She didn't need to sit through this. She had made the presentation earlier. She has a proposed budget that will be submitted to the Virginia Department of Rail and Transport to operate our BAB system. And the total amount of that budget request is $1,059,663.48. A Blackstone local match that does not include the $10,000 that the town would be contributing from the sale of previous buses for the capital purchase of 2 new buses. But the operating costs that she is requesting from the town is $54,371.01.
Mr. Nash, you have the floor.
I move to approve the total budget of $1,059,663.48.
So move.
Mr. Nash has moved and Mr. Miller has seconded. Is there any discussion?
And just for clarity, just so everybody knows, and Philip mentioned it already, but just to put it out there, the town's obligation for this bus line is $54,376.01.
Jennifer? I'm sorry.
I was just stating what the town's obligation
Yes, I was
is.
writing down what you were saying.
My
What
bad.
did you need from me?
Roll call vote with Mr. Miller, right?
No,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not what we last time.
okay.
So
My bad.
I make that motion, yes.
Motion's been made by Mr. Nash and seconded by Mr. Miller. Is there any other discussion? We good? I ask for a voice vote, beginning with Mr. Miller.
Aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. Next item on the agenda is the Spring Festival banner request. That request has not been submitted, and Mr. Page is not here this evening as well. Mr. Page also wanted to, discuss Sea Park's policy. I guess that's the policy for use, and this, I think that has been included in your package. I'm gonna move this to the 22nd meeting, our regularly scheduled meeting, and if you'll put all the policies and everything in the package so the council could be prepared to discuss this.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
okay, the way this thing normally works, and I just talked to somebody, this thing needs to go to a committee, let them hash it out, then they bring it back to council. Am I right?
Well, that may.
It could.
We'll
I-
refer it at that time or suggest that the mayor refer it to that at the regular meeting.
At this time,
Well, what I would like to say, if you don't mind, is before I make a committee referral, let me see if there's some interest in taking it up. You know what
I
I'm
don't
saying?
see it.
if it goes that far.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So at the 22nd, we'll see if there's interest. If there is interest, I'll be delighted to refer it to Health and Ordinance.
Parson, right?
Health and Ordinance.
Okay.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
I was-
Yes, sir. Mr. Gorman has the floor.
Okay, it won't take but a minute. I looked in the code and, Sea Park's not in the code anywhere. Is this something we want to work towards adding?
I don't think it needs to be codified, do you?
It never has been, and I don't know
I think a
Okay,
policy,
I mean, I'm fine
policy,
with
I
this.
think is fine.
Policy, good.
I mean,
Is
if-
there a policy on it or is it just a form at this time?
I think it's a policy, just
Policy.
like the banner, that's not in as a formal ordinance either,
Right.
it's a banner policy. And
If we get
Well,
into
that's in the
a,
code, though. Banners and signs
You're
are in
getting
the
a
code.
pissing contest, that's what, you're gonna get into a conflict.
You got me on that one.
Respect.
If it's an ordinance that was adopted, but we consider it a banner policy, so I'll have to check. I saw your email, so.
Yeah.
I think it is codified, but
Yeah, it
the Sea Parks policy is not.
Okay.
And if we do,
I haven't seen a policy on Sea Park. All I've seen is the form. That's
well, I
fine.
think this is all you got, what you could, yeah,
Yeah, I think this is it.
yeah.
I mean, this is
So-
suitable. I mean, it's definitely acceptable to.
So what is needed to be changed? That's my question.
Well, he's not here, he's
Yeah,
not
I know.
here. You know, he had some objections. Some of the objections that he spoke of, I didn't see in the policy, so in the fairness to Mr. Page,
Absolutely, yeah, just
we'll,
let 'em-
we'll let him present it, and if there's, I'll gauge what interest there is and what steps to take then, okay?
Fair enough.
All right. The next item is we have a motion to engage the services of Hawthorne and Hawthorne. I'll read the motion. Councilman Gormas made a motion to employ the law firm of Hawthorne and Hawthorne PC to represent the town treasurer in the institution of misdemeanor criminal charges against Candy Early for the failure to properly collect and pay the delinquent meals tax amounts required under section 54-52 of the town of Blackstone's ordinance. And the town manager is directed to enter into a representation agreement with Hawthorne and Hawthorne PC for the services required by this resolution. That motion was seconded by Councilwoman Nguyen. So it's my understanding,
It passed 7-0.
it passed, it did pass 7-0.
And noteworthy, that motion at the recommendation of Hawthorne was written by Hawthorne, and I read it
Good.
for the record.
All right,
I move to rescind, being that, all of it has been compensated. the
It has
town
been fully paid.
Yes. And
And, however, probably at the January meeting, we'll discuss a different matter, different
that's
case.
a different case, so I move that we rescind this motion as it has been satisfied.
is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Nash has moved and Mr. Alma has second. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Gormas?
Reason being for rescinding and not pursuing per the rules we have in place,
I think it was the intent of council.
it was not part of the motion, though.
It was not part of the motion, but if I remember correctly, we discussed the matter in legal matters in closed session, and the directions were to drop the pursuit.
I don't recall that.
I think everybody's asked.
The misdemeanor charges were because of,
I mean, we can go back and do it if you
we're
want.
talking about a month. We're talking about a time frame, and
Guys, either I'm crazy or bad memory, but I distinctly remember talking about this and being told to hold off on doing anything. That's fine.
I will back that. I
That's a
remember.
fact.
I don't remember where.
You
it
didn't
was.
come out publicly and say it,
That we were gonna discuss.
but it was discussed in closed session as a legal matter, and council's direction to me was, do not pursue.
And I think.
You can change that if you want, that's up to you.
Cost more than the money that we receive is gonna cost more. And I understand where
Yeah,
you're going.
it's nothing,
Rules are rules, but-
absolutely nothing personal at all, Ms. Early, believe me. But, I just truly believe we're setting ourselves up for repeated events like this by allowing it, just because it was paid off when it became so real that something was actually gonna be done about it after a certain time, you know?
And I agree
And
with
with the
that.
new rules we have in place, with the new ordinances we just passed in the last meeting.
I think we also should never let it get to this extent.
Oh, no doubt.
That's where
Yeah.
I fall that it's partly on us up here and the staff that we allowed it to get so far, that we're not gonna allow that in the future.
And I think it's, and not to pass blame, but I think it's, us as a town having to hire outside counsel to pursue something that taxpayers already pay for. That I think that probably needs to be sit down with our Commonwealth attorney to say, hey, this is what our citizens want. These are the rules that are being broken, and your services are being paid for. We shouldn't be having to pay more tax money to do that. And I know that there's some other issues at that level with understaffing, and there's a lot going on. I understand that, but I think it's putting us in a very awkward position where we shouldn't have to pick and choose. It should be the Commonwealth attorney. doing
Mr.
that.
Page has suggested that we establish a timeline. If somebody becomes delinquent at a certain point after a certain number of days,
That timeline's in the code.
but not the criminal charges. The collection portion of it is what we're talking about, that they get sent to tax if they're 30 days late. And then once it goes to tax, then you guys can decide whether you want to pursue the criminal charges or not. There's two aspects to it. There's a civil side and a criminal side. Tax doesn't do the criminal. They only do the civil side. Okay? And if you guys want to put a time limit on it, it'd make our jobs a lot easier, that we don't have to take payments. And because we take payments from folks, sign payment agreements with people, all that kind of stuff, and try to work with it.
Makes sense though. I mean, it doesn't make sense. If they're getting that 6.5% food tax, meals tax, they're getting it, and
Yeah,
they
no problem.
owe it. I mean, I
And
don't
part of the
understand-
reason it gets drug out is because we work with people on payment agreements, all that kind of stuff, trying to help folks out.
Yeah, well,
But if that's not the wishes of council, we're good with that. If you say after 30 days, this thing's gonna go to collections, and after 45 days, if it's still not paid, we'll issue a summons. We can
that's
do
another-
that.
But that's another
But
conversation. I think
Another
another
policy decision.
policy talk. But I mean, I'm just saying,
I got
my
you.
take on it is not to rescind. That's just my take on it. And I just think you understand where I'm coming from. If we don't abide by the rules we have in place, there's no need to have them. I mean, it's anything from Sea Park to this. I mean, it's nothing personal against anybody, but it's reality. I mean, that's what the world.
Mr.
right,
Miller
that's
has
what
a
we-
comment, and I'm gonna follow up.
My only gripe about this is, okay, we hired these attorneys, we did all this, then all of a sudden, you come up with the money. But the situation is, we're paying these lawyers and all this. Now, if I was in business and what she did, waited till the last to pay it off, and we dropped the charges, then you're gonna have more of this. I mean, you're gonna have more.
But, just for clarity, what were our total costs with Hawthorne and Hawthorne? Obviously, it was.
$2,200.
22.
But truly, is it a matter of cost? I mean, I understand it's the taxpayers' money, but we're not the reason that we're having to use taxpayers' money to do it.
They
We're
wouldn't pay the
doing
taxes.
what we need to do as, in our role,
I'm a-
whether we
No,
like it or
no,
not.
I agree with that,
You know?
and I think we need to revisit this, and I think if we could put the entire policy on the agenda for next month, that'd be great, but I'd really like to have, for whoever, we just need to sit down and have a meeting. I'd like to sit down and have a meeting with our Commonwealth attorney first, to see if we can resolve this to where it's not costing taxpayer money and where we're not the ones who are the client and the, I don't wanna say executioner, but we're the client and we're executing, so it doesn't feel clean to me. I'd rather it be at the Commonwealth Attorney's Office where it should be, where she is an
And let her
outside
decide if she's gonna process.
Well, she's not gonna prosecute misdemeanor, so,
even on a municipality level like this, you don't think so?
that's just what she's told. That's what
I
she
think
said
it's
publicly.
a conversation she needs to tell you definitively, I will prosecute or I won't prosecute it.
If-
I'd like to have
If
that.
you, and I appreciate hearing from y'all, I'm gonna give Ms. Williams an opportunity, and then I'll make a statement and we'll move forward. Did you want to weigh in at all?
I'm torn between both. I want to rescind, but then I'm like, Mr. Gomez, I want to keep the policy in order like we said, cause no need to have a policy if we're gonna keep going back and forth under different circumstances.
This would be my suggestion. My suggestion would be, and I'm gonna make this statement, and I'm not pointing at any fingers, I'm not calling anybody to blame, but this whole meals tax debacle with Miss Early has been botched. And so we've been sloppy, we haven't done this, haven't done that, and all of a sudden, bam, we'll drop the hammer down on her. So that doesn't seem to be fair to me. I think since she's paid it, I had a consensus I directed the town manager to cease the activities until we could have a time to vote on it, because I had a consensus from council that we didn't wanna pursue the misdemeanor charges. I talked to 3 or 4 or 5 of y'all. So my point is, I would suggest to rescind this. We've got our money from Miss Early, but going forward, we need to have a clear path
She should
for the
pay the
town
legal
manager
expenses.
on what you want him to do and what you want him to enforce.
I would like to include in that the multiple extensions that we give on utility accounts as well.
Okay.
Those are a lot.
Can
In
we-
the policy, and I have been here long enough, I should know, in our policy, does it state that, all incurred fees would be, for future reference, do we need to include that in the policy, saying that any incurred lawyer fees or whatever are paid
May
for?
say something like, I don't know.
Wait, that's something we just need to check when we look at this policy as a whole. Can
Okay.
that be added? Is it already in there? What?
So we $2,200 in the hole behind this case.
She's paid you, but we still, the
But she
the
pays
citizen is
that,
out the
but she did,
$2,200.
but the citizens out this $2,500
You can find
that
out
we
if
had
you
to
can
pay.
get that $2,200 from.
Huh?
You can find out if you can get that $2,200, if the ordinance will permit it. But I do think it would, you have the ability to pursue legal fees.
But see, here's the reason why I'm saying this. Is because it's like everything else. Once you do something for one, and it don't make me any difference. But what I'm saying is, everybody else, if they find out, well, hey, we can avoid going to jail, all we got to do is pay it off before time. Hey, you're gonna have problems.
Well, that's what we need to decide tonight on this individual issue. So you're, basically what you're voting on is a motion, I have a motion and a second to rescind, which would mean the case is over with. If you defeat that motion, then it stands, and you are to pursue the misdemeanor charges. That's the question. Am I right? Is that the question?
The motion's on the floor.
Okay, so you have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
Can I?
Ms. Williams?
I was just gonna say, Jennifer, is there a way you can look quickly and see what we talked about in the closed session? Because if we already discussed it and
minutes.
voted on it, no minutes. Okay, yeah.
Did we not talk about this?
No,
I thought we did.
no, sir. I'm telling you, I don't remember this.
I can't remember it.
I
Man,
can't
keep
remember.
one meeting to the next. That's why I like the
I'll be honest
cameras.
with you, I wouldn't have dropped it unless
We're not saying that.
No,
but
that's
we're
not- that's not what
that's
we're
not what
talking
we're
about.
saying. But I don't remember this being in closed session. I don't think a whole lot of others do. Now maybe it was the holiday, but I swear I don't remember it.
I think so, yeah.
Quit drinking in there.
Well, that,
I remember talking about it, but I don't.
there's no malice here.
It wasn't in
Hold on,
closed
guys.
session.
There's no malice here.
No.
If some don't remember and some do, that's not the point. But you have an issue in front of you that's been properly moved and second. And it's just a matter of my job to frame this is, and if you vote in the affirmative, then this is over. If you vote in the negative, then this motion stands and we are going to pursue the misdemeanor charges in this case. That's the simple thing. The question is there any questions or any other discussion?
Yeah.
Mr. Miller?
Don't we need to, okay, you said the Commonwealth Attorney is not prosecuting misdemeanors.
She has notified everybody in the county that she is not gonna prosecute all misdemeanors. I still think she has the discretion to do
Right.
that. But she claims because of her workload, she can't prosecute all misdemeanors.
That shouldn't
So
that
could
shouldn't
we-
I'd like
impact
that
our
in-
decision.
I'd like to hear that from her when it.
I would like to
regarding
take the case to her.
municipalities.
Yeah, can we take the case to her and let her decide what she's gonna
We're
do?
supposed to meet on December 22nd, but we,
She's not gonna decide whether we wanna pursue it or
Huh?
not. At this point, we
Right,
decide
that's what we
if
need to
wanna
figure
pursue
out.
it.
I have
Whether
no,
or not
if
she
if
does
you
what
want
she
more
does,
information or what. But you've got a motion here that you've gotta dispatch. If you want to rescind this and go forward, fine. If you want more information, fine. But we've got to get this motion off the books. That's just,
Philip, can you provide an update at the regular scheduled meeting? If there's any possibility of not recourse, but of collection of legal fees? And even if it's not for this case, what in the future? And I'll call for the question, please.
So if you vote
okay.
yes, then you're getting rid of it. If you vote no, then you want to pursue.
is there echo in here? I think
Is
that's
that-
what I said.
Yeah, but I just wanna make, he's voting first, and I wanna make sure he understands what he's
Right.
voting.
If I vote yes, what?
If you vote yes, y'all are dismissing
No.
everything. If you vote no, then
No.
you're gonna proceed.
No?
All right, so I'm gonna ask for a roll call vote, beginning with Mr. Miller.
No?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Motion fails 3-2. Now, so at this point, what information would council like from the manager to move forward?
some of it's already prepared, and we will meet with Leanne Walker in a moment, or we will request a meeting with Leanne Walker as soon as possible. We have one scheduled for the 22nd of December, we set it aside. But we will again request and see if Leanne chooses to prosecute these herself, or she's gonna say that she does not wanna prosecute it. I think that was where our attorney was looking to go, and, we will prosecute and move forward.
All right, next item on the agenda is, Manager of Norbic's annual evaluation. I put that on there because I'm gonna use my rookie card, which is getting ready to expire. We,
Already expired.
come on, man, I put this on here because I don't know. I remember when I was on council for 8 years, we evaluated the town manager. And is this something that council,
I say let's let all 8 members of us come back on the 22nd with your, hey, it's our wish list, or it's our pros or cons of Philip. Say, hey, we like what you've done with this, we don't like what you've done with that. Or we like, not that we don't like it, this is where we'd like to see you improve. Making list is gonna be my
all right,
improvement.
so
I think we're gonna need some for the
Work
rest
on my
of,
memory.
let's start the process and have a closed session with him on the 22nd.
Yeah.
You add that to the agenda, and we'll bring some
And
some
it's not
input and
chastising
then-
Philip, it's just, hey, Philip needs to know
Well,
what we think of him.
I find Philip very receptive to your wishes.
Absolutely.
And so, I think that's a positive thing. So we'll handle it that way, is that good?
yeah, that's good. My
You know-
question is for the rest of, we're closely, or very quickly approaching budget season. And I'd like to know what our timeline will be for the rest of the staff and employees. I think sometime
Evaluation?
Yeah,
for evaluations and recommendations, I think,
Our
was it the year
expectation would be
before
on
last,
June
we
and
talked about
yeah,
doing
last year,
merit-based raises?
we're supposed to have an evaluation.
You do every year.
Okay, so when can we get these evaluations? Cause
First of
it's,
January,
we getting
first
close.
of February.
Okay, cause it's getting close. Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Mr. Mayor, can I add something? And,
Absolutely, ma'am.
next, on the 22nd in closed session, can we come back also and discuss our goals, what we met last year, and what we didn't meet, and how we need to move forward this year?
Absolutely outstanding suggestion. So, Madam Clerk, if you add that, our council goals for
What happened to our
2024.
retreat?
We can't do that in closed though, correct?
No.
What happened to the retreat?
Yeah, I think we have to do it open.
Okay, that's fine.
Open
But
session.
we just
What
need
happened to
to,
the retreat?
Would that,
We never could come up with a date, so put that back on the agenda for the 22nd. We'll talk about, the 22nd, we'll talk about an open session, about a council retreat. Okay?
would that cover like, I mean, cause I think it'd be great for, the town, everyone to know of the successes that happened last year, things that went well. It might be a short list, might be long, we don't know. But I mean, it'd be good for the town to know, hey,
Boy, they did
they did
excellent.
this, they did that, and things.
You gonna write it?
Oh, give me the list of motions we made last year. what
he
it
done put
said.
you on the spot.
It was done in a playful spirit.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's always good
mention
to
it.
Yes,
celebrate success,
We
to get
got
enough down.
3 more items. All right,
That's all. That's just nice.
we good? All right, so you'll have that on the agenda as well. I was gonna look up the first Wednesday. I want y'all to do me a favor and put February 7th on your calendar for a possible work session. It sounds like we might need to do a little bit of more in-depth conversation about these misdemeanor charges. Might be a good time. So just put it on your calendars, and I'll discuss it with everyone on the 22nd.
But he's gonna give us watchers tomorrow, and
Right, but I'm just seeing more and more, I'm trying to give you plenty of notice. I'm looking at February 7th as a work session, or continuing the 22nd meeting, okay?
I think we're gonna have some other stuff to work on.
We
too,
are,
so
we are.
Even if that isn't on the agenda.
Well,
but I would expect by then something that would be gone a little bit
oh,
further.
we're gonna call tomorrow morning,
I'm just
okay?
thinking,
Yeah, y'all have
I
spoken,
don't know why
we'll call tomorrow
we talk
morning.
about it anymore.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the 4th Street draining issue. I've received a very nice letter from Jason Seamster, about 410 4th Street. Mr. Miller and I were gonna meet there today, we both got tied up, I think we're gonna try to do so in the morning. And so I'm gonna refer 410 4th Street to Chairman Miller, Street and Light, and we'll go look at it tomorrow. Do you have any questions? I think y'all received his correspondence and my corresponding letter. Did everyone receive that?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yes, sir,
for you.
Mr. Miller, you have the
Well,
floor.
what do you think gonna have to be done?
Let's go into committee.
Yeah,
Let's look at it and go to committee.
yeah, okay.
All right.
Well, I just wanna get an idea before we go
Well, let's
down
do
there.
that.
Yeah, okay.
Did you do a corresponding letter? Did I see it?
Yeah, I wrote him back. You didn't get it?
Did y'all see it? I don't remember getting it. I wrote maybe sent it to you.
I believe I got it, yeah.
The letter?
So what's the biggest?
Yeah,
you
I
been up
mean,
there?
I'm pretty sure. You know what? I emailed him
looked at all them
directly.
pictures. I
Yeah,
looked at them all.
I didn't get it. That's what I was just saying.
I'll see to it that you do. Get it tomorrow, and if you'll relay it to the council in a blast, okay? All right. They go with you, Mr. Miller?
Yeah,
All right. Next item on the agenda is county request for town manager services. I'll let you report, Philip.
As you may or may not know, I've been assisting the county as the interim county
You
administrator.
don't say. Really?
If you did not know.
You need to keep me in the loop. I'm playful
So-
tonight. Go ahead.
Last night, there was a town, I know the council had indicated that January 1st, unless you got something in writing from the guys and from the folks over at the county, well, they had an organizational meeting last night, and Mr. Rourke asked if I could come and open the meeting. The county administrator typically gavels the meeting in so they can elect a chairman, and then you hand the gavel to the chairman. And so I called Ben, and I said, man, they're going to have to call an attorney to come in and do this. Do you have a problem with me going and opening that meeting? He said, that was fine. So I went up there, we opened the meeting, it was pretty brief, it was like assigning people to planning commission and committees and stuff. And then they went into closed session for a few minutes, and they did hire Steve Bowen as the county administrator. His first day of full-time county administration is the 29th of January, okay? They named him as the interim county administrator so somebody could sign checks, but they needed a couple days to to get him to sign the cards and everything, so Friday would be the last day that I would have any role as a interim county administrator. I didn't go up there today. I went up there a couple hours last night for that meeting, but I'd probably go up there one more time between now and Friday and just make sure those cards are signed. And they've had a mold problem in the treasurer's office. I probably need to touch that up and check it out. But it is official that Friday would be the last day that I would potentially sign any paperwork on their behalf or anything like that. So
Members of
it's
council,
all
I'd
done.
entertain a motion to extend our agreement with the county until Friday at the close of business.
So moved.
Mr. Miller moves, is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Williams, second. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. While you're at the podium, sir, we enjoyed a meeting today in Crew. I don't know if we enjoyed it or not. I enjoyed seeing Delegate Ware, and I appreciate the delegate right here before the session starts. It's an hour drive for him, and let the record reflect, I appreciate him being here and representing the state. Mr. Manager, or either Mr. Allman, I'm sorry, Mr. Allman, would you report?
We had a very good meeting, and again, and like you said, I'll double down and thank Mr. Ware for being there. The meeting was composed of Councilman Sean Davis, Crew, film new future town manager Phil Miskovic via telephone. Current interim Jay Scudder was present, and then we had two of the new members, or one of the Mayor Burkeville, and then he had an advisor there with him. Myself and Ben. It was a very good meeting. We've discussed the RFI that we requested from Richmond to how we're going to get numbers and how we're going to get everything together. There's some discussions on getting our engineers together. I think there's still more backroom work that needs to be done between us and Crew, but overall, I think it was an eventful and overly but with a positive tone at the end of the meeting. So.
Would you be so kind as to enlighten the members of council what the RFI is, what that stands for, what we're looking at?
So the Secretary of Finance for the Governor's Office requested an RFI, a request for information, regarding what Blackstone, Crew, and Prince Edward could provide for sources of water for the prison system. So it's a more way of doing apples to apples comparison than we've had in the past. In the past, it was, in my opinion, a little more backroom and a little more we're going to go with whoever we want without a lot of comparison. And this RFI kind of solidifies that they're actually going to have to look at some numbers. It's going to be looked at specifically by mainly the Secretary of Finance, as we were told today, and I think it's going to get a more fair
A
outlook.
level playing field is what
It's a level playing field.
Okay.
So I think it'll be good. It's gonna, the only thing we really need to do is us and Crew need to get together and figure out a number for each of us that we can both live with. I think we're probably both gonna have to do a little adjusting. The only other positive that's come out of the situation since I last reported on it is that number that was slipped into the state budget. There was some oddities at the state budget where there was a $25 million line item put in for water for the prison system. It's our expectation that we also qualify for that $25 million, and we can add that into our budget analysis, which hopefully will be able to bring our numbers down a little bit and make us a little more competitive. Again, there's a lot more work to do. I don't want to say that out loud and then us rerun the numbers and be very similar to where we are. But
everybody's information, the response is due in March. Can't remember the exact date of March.
I don't either.
Something, but so there's work to be done. It's basically a request for information, is what the RFI stands for, but it's really a request for proposals for anybody interested in providing water to the state facilities. And obviously it would be Prince Edward, it would be Crew, Calabash.
I think I would be remiss if I didn't ask the council, is there any indigestion about moving forward, partnering with Crew to meet the water needs of that end of the county? Is there any indigestion? Everybody good with it?
I think there will be a time where it comes to council to make sure that that is the direction we want to go. But I don't think we're there yet. I think we're going to do a little more work and ask for and try to get as accurate information to make a decision as possible. The only thing that I will preface that could come between now and then, that would be a spending item, is we might have to put a little money into some of the engineering that goes into it to make sure we can get accurate numbers for a accurate and informed decision.
I think, and I agree with you 100%. We feel the same way. But I do think Manager Van Norbeck and his staff will do the bulk of the heavy lifting with engineering, proposed constructions. I can go on and on with all the multifaceted tasks that we will be faced with. So that's why I asked the question. you know, if we've got any indigestion. I do not have any, but this is y'all's decision, so I didn't hear any, so do you have anything else to report?
No, I think we're gonna continue working towards this for this deadline, and I'll keep you informed as we have more meetings.
Crew is gonna meet on, their council meeting is Monday night, and, I think Philip and I owe Jay Scudder, their interim town manager, a call tomorrow about what transposed here. And then I think, Mayor Miskovic will call us next Tuesday and let us know, and then we'll pass that along to y'all. Okay? Anything else on this, Mr. Alman?
I think everything that needs to be said has been said.
Any other business to come before council? Manager Van Orbit? Meeting adjourned at 6:38.
What time we gonna go over there in the
6:35.
morning?
Paying for
Huh?
What time you wanna go over there in the morning?
Jake's paying for
I'm not an early bird.